16 scientists gave up, but one poor secretary discovered an incredible solution in just 3 minutes. Sarah stared blankly at the crumbling ceiling of the community center, the paint peeling like forgotten dreams. Just a block away, the streets were littered with hope and desperation, but here, amongst the dilapidated chairs and the faint echo of children's laughter, she felt the weight of the world pressing her down. Every day after her 9-to-5 as a secretary, she clocked in at this sacred place, pouring her heart into a community fighting to stay alive. And yet, the news hit like a punch to the gut. 16 scientists had walked away from their crucial environmental research, leaving her neighborhood dangling without solutions. What are we going to do? The funding is drying up. If the center closes, what happens to us? Sarah's friend and fellow volunteer, Mary, lamented, eyes wide with fear. The weight of these uncertainties wrapped around Sarah's heart, knotting her stomach. Fighting back frustration, she muttered, "It feels like no one cares about us." The soft hum of fluorescent lights barely masked the tension filling the room, but then it happened. Amidst her spiraling thoughts, a flicker of inspiration sparked. "What if we create jobs right here?" She blurted out, her voice rising in the stillness. "What if we train locals to handle what we need, make things from scratch? We start a recycling program." Mary's eyebrows shot up. The possibilities cascaded, each one more exciting than the last. Sarah's enthusiasm surged as she imagined local people, allowing them to support their families while rejuvenating their home. Before they could celebrate, a dark cloud loomed. The elites in local government would never take advice from someone like her, a mere secretary. The facade of their status was blinding, and her heart sank. They wouldn't even take a moment to consider the power of grassroots solutions. "It's not worth it, Sarah," Mary cautioned gently, but Sarah's mind was racing as the meeting to determine the center's fate approached like a train heading forward. She felt the urgency of her community's despair. Families needed those services. They counted on her. Each day she could see the fear etched into their faces. Time was running out, and her moment to shine felt like a double-edged sword. She needed to present her idea. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Doubt crept in on her like a thief in the night as she prepared to confront her fears. Could she really rise above their preconceived notions? Was she worthy of being heard? The night air hung thick with uncertainty as she lay beside her sleeping mother, the faint sound of her labored breaths piercing Sarah's heart. Would she stumble over her words tomorrow? But hope flickered deep within her. This was about so much more than just her. Sarah envisioned the faces of her neighbors, their futures resting in her trembling hands. As she closed her eyes, she whispered a silent promise to herself to fight for every last dream. Tomorrow she would step into that arena. The community needed her. Could they rise together? Or would they all sink into the shadows? The answer loomed just ahead, creating a palpable anticipation that left her breathless. The morning sun struggled to break through the dirty windows of the community center as Sarah gathered her papers, her notes, her dreams, and the promise to her community. Her heart raced. She could feel the thrum of anxiety beneath her skin. Today she wasn't just a secretary. Today she was their voice. "Are you ready for this?" Mary's calming presence grounded her. Sarah nodded, although doubt lingered in her eyes. What if they laugh? What if they shut us down before we even get a chance? Everyone's been talking about what's wrong. Now it's time to talk about what's right. "You've got this," Mary reassured her, squeezing Sarah's shoulder. The warmth of her friend's support gave Sarah a bit of confidence, but the churning in her stomach mirrored the chaos outside. Kids raced bikes along the cracked sidewalks, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. As they entered the meeting room, the flickering lights made the atmosphere heavy. A long table dominated the space, filled with suits and ties, people who made decisions behind polished desks. Sarah took a deep breath, her hands clammy as she laid her notes out before her. She could feel their eyes, trained on her with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "Let us get this started," said the mayor, casting a dismissive glance her way. Next item on the agenda. Actually, Sarah interrupted, her voice louder than expected. I'd like to propose an idea. The room fell silent and every pair of eyes turned her way. A challenging wave of attention washing over her. Mary's encouraging nod pushed her forward. We can create sustainable jobs in our community, Sarah continued, feeling her heart pound. We can establish a recycling program that involves training locals. Not just recycling but transforming waste into useful products. We can uplift our neighborhood together. A ripple of murmurs spread across the room. Some faces looked intrigued. Others wore thinly veiled disbelief. The mayor raised an eyebrow. A recycling program? And who is going to fund this, pray tell? The words hung in the air, like a dark cloud. Sarah's spirit faltered momentarily under the weight of such immediate opposition. We can seek local businesses for support. They might want to invest in community growth. She felt bold in that moment, but self-doubt flickered just beneath the surface. Local businesses? The mayor scoffed. We have bigger issues to deal with. This is just a quaint idea from a secretary. A harsh laugh escaped someone at the table, but Sarah squared her shoulders. I might just be a secretary, but I know my community. We are the people who matter. Every family here needs support. They depend on this center. I believe in their skills and potential. Her breath caught in her throat as she anticipated their reactions. Would they see her? Would they hear the urgency in her voice? What do we have to lose, really? Sarah continued, passion igniting her words. We've waited for someone to save us, but maybe it starts with us. Look around. We can be part of the solution. A silence enveloped the room as her plea echoed. Faces shifted from disdain to contemplation. Mary's eyes sparkled with hope. Maybe they were listening. Could it be that Sarah's humble idea might ignite a flicker of collective action? All right then, the mayor sighed, clearly annoyed yet intrigued. Let us hear you out. Let us see what you really have. The crowd buzzed with surprise, but victory felt like it was inching closer. The next hour was a whirlwind of ideas and debates. It felt like the heaviness of doubt was lifting, with each moment reinvigorating the sense of community. As Sarah spoke boldly about possibilities, hope filled the air. Just when it felt like real change was within reach, a figure stepped in. Someone Sarah had not expected. What secrets would this new arrival bring that might change everything? The door creaked open, casting a shadow across Sarah's lively speech. Everyone turned, their curiosity piqued. Through the doorway stepped a tall figure in a rumpled shirt, hair tousled and eyes wide. It was Tim, the former head of the city's environmental department, who had left after budget cuts sent shockwaves through the office. The very man Sarah admired for his dedication to clean energy and community advocacy was now standing before them, disheveled and looking lost. Tim? Sarah exclaimed, a wave of surprise flooding her. What are you doing here? He shifted awkwardly, collecting himself. I heard about the meeting. I didn't mean to interrupt. His voice was raspy, as if he hadn't spoken in days. The tension in the room shifted slightly, eyes flicking between him and Sarah. Please join us, Mary offered, determination in her voice, trying to ease any discomfort. We could use your expertise. Tim hesitated but then nodded, stepping forward. He settled into a chair at the end of the table, looking both powerful and vulnerable. I've been thinking a lot about the community since I left. What we could be done, he murmured, glancing at Sarah. And I caught wind of your idea. Do you think we can really do this? Sarah asked, her heart racing again, for a different reason this time. His presence felt like a lifeline, yet a shadow of doubt crossed her mind. Tim's eyes gleamed with a spark that hadn't been apparent before. This building holds a lot of potential. With the right framework, we can make your recycling initiative the seed for something bigger. I've seen it done before. It starts small and grows, but it takes voices like yours to begin. The murmurs in the room grew louder, fueled by curiosity and just a sliver of hope. Sarah's breath caught as she exchanged glances with Mary. The energy was shifting again, and it felt like they were on the precipice of change. We could use your experience, she said, her voice shaking but steady. Maybe you could help us find ways to get funding? Tim rubbed his chin thoughtfully, nodding. We need a solid plan. But I think it can be done. I can connect you with a few folks who still care about these issues. We need to show them the impact this can have. The mayor shifted in his seat, clearly unsettled by this unexpected turn. "And what do you propose, Tim?" His tone was challenging, as if he was ready to dismiss them again. With renewed purpose, Tim leaned forward. "We need to paint a picture, a vision of how this program can pull the community together and uplift everyone. Jobs for the unemployed, cleaner streets, a greener city. It's not just about recycling. It's about creating a legacy." A jolt ran through Sarah at his words. The legacy of a better tomorrow. It felt possible now. She wanted to harness that energy, to propel it like an arrow straight to their goal. "We can organize workshops too," Sarah chimed in, her excitement flaring anew. "Involve schools and families. Teach them the process. There's so much we can do together." Tim smiled unexpectedly, a bright warmth illuminating his face, as if he had just realized something important. "Exactly. The more hands we have, the stronger we become. This can be the community's initiative." The murmurs began to swell in the room again, this time with a real sense of enthusiasm. It was contagious. The people sitting at that table were no longer just gatekeepers of budgets, but possible partners in a far-reaching dream. Sarah could feel the tides shifting, the air thick with possibility, but just as they began to gather their ideas and possibilities, the door swung open again more forcefully than before, and an unwelcome face came into view, someone who always seemed to loom over her efforts like a dark cloud. This was not going to be easy. Would past grievances derail their chance? Would he try to crush their fledgling hope before it even took root? The figure standing in the doorway sent a chill running through the room. It was Carl, the city manager. His presence was a thunderstorm against the warm tide of hope that had been building. He strode into the room with a smug grin, as if brimming with some hidden agenda. "What's this?" Carl's voice boomed, breaking the bubble of excitement. "Tim is back. I thought we'd gotten rid of the naysayers." He swept a dismissive glance over the group, a calculated move to regain control. Tim stiffened, the spark in his eyes dimming ever so slightly. "We're discussing a community initiative, Carl. A way to bring us all together," he stated, but his voice lacked its former confidence. Sarah stepped forward, her heart pounding. "Actually, Carl, we were talking about a recycling program that could support our community, create jobs, and clean up our streets. We think it's something worth exploring." Carl let out a hollow laugh. "Recycling? You really think that's a priority right now? We have budget cuts to deal with. People need jobs, not some feel-good project." His words were heavy, like lead weights dragging her hope down. "But this is about jobs," Tim countered, gaining back a little ground. "We can involve local schools, build a framework that empowers families, and create sustainable opportunities." Carl rolled his eyes dramatically, a gesture designed to minimize their efforts. "You're welcome to dream, but let us be real here. We're not in a position to invest in pipe dreams." The room fell silent, tension electrifying the air. Sarah felt the weight of Carl's words sink into her, but in the depths of the unease, a flicker of determination ignited within her. "Nothing worthwhile gets done without vision," Sarah shot back, her voice firm and resolute. "And sometimes it starts small, like plants pushing through the concrete. This project might just need the right support to flourish." Carl's smirk faltered, replaced by a flash of anger. For a moment, it felt as if the entire room was holding its breath, waiting for Carl to unleash his trademark venom. But instead he seemed to hesitate. Maybe he sensed the fire in everyone else's eyes too. "Look, I'm not here to squash dreams. But this town can't afford to spend time on what-ifs." He looked around, gauging their reactions. "If you want to pursue this, you better have something solid, something that can convince the council." The group exchanged glances, and Sarah knew they had to come together stronger than ever. "Then how about we prove the need?" she suggested, feeling emboldened. "Let us gather data. We can show how much waste our community produces each year, and illustrate the potential impact of our initiative. Together." Tim's eyes brightened. "That's it. We need evidence. I can help you connect with local scientists who might lend us their expertise." A blend of hesitation and excitement buzzed throughout the room. It was a tangible shift, small yet promising. Sarah felt her heart leap. Maybe they could put together a plan that would leave a mark, something that couldn't be ignored. "I'll help with outreach," Mary added, her voice filled with newfound resolve. As a ripple of agreement spread around the table, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the storm wasn't over. Carl's presence loomed like a dark shadow, Was he entirely off their backs? Or would he find another way to undermine their efforts? Even in the glow of determination, she sensed the fight was far from over. Could they rally enough support from the community and those in power to see this through? And in the back of her mind, a nagging question persisted. What would happen if they succeeded and what if they didn't? With every passing moment, the urgency intensified, and Sarah felt the weight of what was at stake. As they began to draft their plan, a single thought resonated loud and clear. They were going to need every ally they could find to pull this off. Then a thought struck her, sending her pulse racing. What if they used social media to rally local support? Could bringing the community closer online create enough pressure to sway the council? The possibility hung in the air like a spark waiting to ignite. With her heart racing and hope flickering brightly, Sarah turned to the group. Don't you see? This could be our moment. With the fire of determination in her voice, Sarah urged them forward, feeling the energy rippling through her. But as her spirit soared, Carl crossed his arms, still standing at the entrance watching, waiting. The question remained. Was he there merely to oversee, or was there an even bigger threat lurking behind that smile? Would they be able to rise against all odds, or would Carl's lingering shadow extinguish the flame before it properly ignited? As the meeting continued, the energy in the room morphed from uncertainty to a crackling anticipation. Sarah worked quickly, jotting down ideas and potential data points on a whiteboard. Her heart thrummed in rhythm with her thoughts: gather evidence, leverage social media, ignite community spirit. Okay, let us break this down, Tim said, leaning over the board. We need to quantify our waste. How do we start? Local landfill statistics? Mary nodded eagerly. What about reaching out to citizens? We could have them track their waste for a week. It'll be first-hand data. Sarah felt excitement bubble within her. And if we ask local schools to participate, we could encourage the kids to bring the data home. Parents will want to help. This could become a whole community project. Count me in, Tim said, grabbing his phone to take notes. Just then a cough drew their attention. It was Carl, still lurking near the door. You all seem really confident about this initiative, he said, his tone laced with condescension. But can I remind you that enthusiasm doesn't pay the bills? Sarah locked eyes with him. We're building something valid and necessary for this community, Carl. Are you going to just stand there or actually contribute? He chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. Why don't you just take a breath? No need to get ahead of yourselves. You're all just shouting into the void. His words landed like ice water, but instead of shrinking back, Sarah felt a swell of anger mixed with defiance. We might be small, but together we can have a voice. If you want the numbers to be convincing, then give us the tools we need, not your empty cynicism. A murmur rippled through the group. The momentum was building, and Sarah sensed they were on the precipice of something bigger than any of them had anticipated. Let us get the community on our side, Tim suggested, glancing around. I bet we can get at least a few hundred people involved in a waste audit to kick things off. Think about it, if we show a significant amount of waste, we can leverage that to direct the council's attention. Carl's brows furrowed, his facade cracking. You think a few kit-printed papers will sway the council? Not just papers, Mary replied. We'll use social media to show our findings. Pictures, videos, testimonies from real people. It's all about visibility. These things catch fire. It can't be ignored. Sarah's heart raced at this idea. And we can invite local news. If we can get even one story published, it has the potential to go viral. People love community successes. This is our chance. Carl fell silent, a wave of frustration washing over his face. Was the tide finally turning? With renewed vigor, they mapped out their plans, assigning tasks and establishing deadlines. Each person's contributions became threads in a vibrant tapestry of hopeful purpose. Sarah felt an exhilarating sense of unity as they galvanized each other, eager smiles uplifting the atmosphere. As they finished the meeting, wrapping up their action items, Sarah caught a glimpse of Carl's uneasy face. She understood then that their community could thrive, and maybe, just maybe, they were about to realize their dream despite the odds. They stepped outside, the sun warming their faces as if the universe itself was cheering them on. But there was still a shadow creeping in the background. Sarah turned to Tim, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you think Carl will retaliate? He is not the kind to sit back and let us succeed without a fight. Honestly, Tim glanced back at the door, a furrow deepening in his brow. He's going to try to crush us. But we can't let that happen. We've got to stay one step ahead. With determination flooding her heart, Sarah nodded. This was not just about a recycling program. It was about reclaiming their community, resilience, and the hope they'd almost lost. But as she walked away, another thought nagged at her. The stakes were more profound than they appeared. Carl had power. Did they truly have the strength to stand against it before sweeping winds of change swept their dreams away? The horizon glimmered with possibility, but shadows loomed, and the battle was just beginning. What would be their next move to counter Carl's influence? As the days passed, Sarah felt the pulse of their project quicken. What had once been mere chatter in a cramped room transformed into posters plastered around town, social media posts sparking interest, and volunteers eager to spread the word. They met regularly, fueled by hope and coffee, while the community's response was like a dam bursting. Emails flowed in from families ready to track their waste, teachers excited to involve their students, and local businesses offering incentives for participation. Yet, the shadow of Carl's derision still loomed. It was palpable, like the weight of storm clouds before a thunderstorm. Sarah often found herself staring out of her window, contemplating their next steps. Just as she would catch a glimmer of confidence, another wave of doubt would wash over her. Did they really stand a chance against someone like Carl? One evening, Sarah huddled with Tim and Mary at their usual coffee shop, a cozy little place with mismatched chairs and the smell of fresh pastries lingering in the air. It was a refuge from the outside world. We need a strategy to counter Carl, she said, her voice edged with urgency. What if he tries to undermine us with misinformation? If he posts the numbers we gather but twists them? Tim sipped his coffee, his brow furrowing. That might just make people more curious. If they see the discrepancies between our honest numbers and what he says, it could backfire on him. True, Mary agreed, tapping her pencil against her notebook. But we have to be prepared for pushback. What if he starts a counter-campaign? If he tries to get our community divided just to prove a point? The trio fell silent, the gravity of the situation settling over them like a thick fog. Instead of shrinking back, let us invite everyone to participate in our findings, Sarah proposed, her mind racing. What if we host a fair? A waste-sorting competition? We can make it fun, educational, and a way to unite the community. Tim's eyes lit up. That's brilliant. A festival could be a major draw. We can have booths for recycling education demonstrations, maybe even a contest for the biggest amount of waste sorted correctly. Yes, Mary jumped in, echoing their excitement. And we can team up with local environmental organizations. They can help fund it and attract more volunteers. If we keep Carl busy, he might not have time to retaliate. Her heart soared with their shared energy. Ideas began flowing like water, and before they knew it, the coffee shop brimmed with shouts of joy, laughter, and scribbles on napkins. Each idea contributed was a brick laid in the stronghold they were building against Carl's negativity. But amidst the excitement, a chilling thought slid into Sarah's mind like a slithering snake. Would Carl sit idly by and let their plan flourish? Or was he already mapping out his attack? The next morning, Sarah awoke to an email notification that made her blood run cold. Carl's name was front and center, and the subject line blasted. Community Waste Fiesta? Here's the truth. Dread squeezed her heart, a knot of anxiety tightening in her chest. What would he spin? What lies would he concoct? As she opened the email, the world outside faded away. Would they overcome the impending storm? Or would Carl's cynicism tarnish their dream? The battle lines were drawn, and Sarah knew they needed every ounce of resilience to fight for their future. Determined, she grabbed her phone and texted Tim, "We need to counter Carl's lies. Fast. Let us meet now." Would they be able to turn the tide before Carl could derail everything they worked for? Sarah's fingers trembled as she stared at the email. The cursor blinked, urging her to read on. Swallowing hard, she clicked. Carl's words dripped with sarcasm, each line a dagger aimed straight at the heart of their project. He mocked their festival, calling it a waste of time and just a PR stunt. He cherry-picked snippets from old studies, positioning himself as the voice of reason against their naivety. Sucking in a deep breath, Sarah started typing her response, her initial anger morphing into determination. They couldn't let Carl's smokescreen distract them from their goal. She fired off a message to Tim and Mary, urging them to meet in half an hour at the coffee shop. Each keystroke transformed her anxiety into purpose. As she made her way to the familiar nook, her mind raced. Ideas blossomed like wildflowers in spring. What if they countered Carl's narrative head-on? They had the community's support, the data, and most importantly, the truth on their side. But would it be enough? Tim and Mary were already seated when she arrived. Tim looked up, concern etched on his face. "Did you see the email?" "Yeah," Sarah said. Her voice steady despite the churning emotions inside her. "And I think it's time to play offense instead of defense. We need a strategic response." Mary's brows knitted in thought. What if we compiled all the data from our volunteers? Real stories and testimonials highlighting the positive impact we're having? Absolutely, Tim nodded. Spread the truth far and wide. Show the community what they're actually doing. Sarah's heart raced. They would harness the power of personal stories, wrapping numbers and facts with real human experiences. It would create an emotional connection that Carl's cold statistics could never achieve. We could even create a video, she suggested, excitement bubbling inside. We could interview participants, share success stories, and showcase our upcoming fair. Mary leaned in, her eyes sparkling with a fierce light. And we can share snippets on social media. Let everyone see how wonderful our community is coming together. The more they brainstormed, the more Sarah felt like the wind had shifted, filling their sails. They would take back the narrative and amplify their message. Ideas poured out fast and furious. Those were the moments she cherished, the laughter, the camaraderie, the shared vision. Yet the feeling of dread still loomed. What if they couldn't reach everyone in time? What if Carl's lies took root before the community could hear their truth? As they wrapped up their planning, a challenge buzzed in the back of Sarah's mind. "Okay," Tim said, setting his cup down for emphasis. "Let us get to work. We've got a lot to do." With renewed vigor they divided tasks, Sarah taking on the social media campaign while Tim and Mary began gathering testimonials. They moved as a unit, fueled by hope while also battling an undercurrent of fear. Hours flew by. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Messages went out, videos started being filmed, and posters were redesigned. Each step breathed life into their vision. But as Sarah lay in bed that night, exhaustion washing over her, she couldn't shake the feeling that Carl wouldn't take their growing momentum lightly. This wasn't just a battle. It was a war for their community's trust. The next day, a notification buzzed on her phone at the crack of dawn. A new post from Carl had gone live. Sarah sat bolt upright, dread spreading through her like ice water. What had he said now? As she clicked the link, her heart raced. Knowing that this could change everything, she braced herself for what she might read. Would it crush her newfound hope? Or would their plan be strong enough to withstand it? Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she read the title. Felt like a slap. The post was filled with the same condescending tone that had dripped from Carl's previous email, mocking their initiative and positioning themselves as the sole saviors of scientific integrity. 16 scientists gave up, she muttered, her heart racing. She scrolled down, feverishly scanning the text. Carl painted a picture of hopelessness about community engagement, suggesting that even the best efforts were futile in the face of his supposed intellect. But then came the punchline. A so-called solution, a half-baked proposal to bring in experts to save the day, implying that the people of their town were too simple-minded to see what was best for them. The emotional weight pressed down on her. Rage bubbled inside, but more than that, it was an urgent fire to fight back. This was deeper than just an argument over a festival. It was about the dignity of their community. It was a battle for the very soul of a place she loved. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. This is a bait-and-switch, she thought. If he wanted a spectacle, that was exactly what she would give him. She quickly drafted a counterpost, weaving in real testimonials and vibrant stories highlighting how their festival had brought people together, sparked partnerships, and transformed lives. They were a community worth celebrating, worth fighting for. Suddenly, a ping interrupted her thoughts. It was a message from Tim asking what her plan was. With a quick response, she revealed her intention to publish an immediate rebuttal to Carl's post, but she knew it couldn't be a reactionary piece. It had to be something unique, something more impactful. If he thinks treating our community like puppets will work, he's miscalculated, she typed back. biting her lip as her resolve hardened. We won't just respond. We'll show them the heart of our initiative. She envisioned a live event, an impromptu rally at the local park that would invite residents to share their own experiences with the festival, turning Carl's negativity into a celebration of positivity. Sarah felt energized by the idea and couldn't wait to share it with Tim and Mary. By midday, the three of them met again at the coffee shop. Sarah shared her vision, her voice lively with excitement now that she was back in her element. Let us host a community day. We'll have people share their stories live, show them the impact we're making. If Carl wants a fight, we'll drag every supportive soul into the ring with us. Tim's eyes lit up. That's brilliant. We can set up a stage, have music, maybe even a few booths for local businesses to get involved. Mary's enthusiasm matched theirs as they quickly bounced ideas off one another. This rally was no longer just a counterattack. It was an opportunity to showcase everything they loved about their town. But a flickering doubt haunted Sarah. What if they didn't get enough community support? What if Carl's words spread too far, creating a rift? That same fear nagged her. The feeling that they could be drowning in Carl's negativity before anyone could even hear their response. As they wrapped up their brainstorming session, Sarah felt exhilarated yet apprehensive. They had a plan, yes, but the clock was ticking. They agreed to mobilize the community, reaching out through social media and flyers in every corner of town. That evening, just before bed, as she prepared to publish her rebuttal and event announcement, another alert flashed on her phone. Carl had posted again. She paused, a lump forming in her throat. What now? She whispered, dread creeping back. With trembling hands, she clicked open the link. Would this be the final blow, or the spark they needed? The headline hit her like a punch. Sarah's heart raced as she read the words on her screen, rising up to meet the default negativity of Carl's world. There it was, the same dismissive tone, the same belittling attitude, now wrapped in a sarcastic twist. A glimmer of hope flickered within her, but the dread loomed larger. She dove deeper into the post, desperate to find the snuff that made his twisted proposal seem so absurd. Carl's new post suggested that the festival was but an exercise in futility. He mocked the community's efforts, asserting that it was her spark, a mere on the vast canvas of scientific outreach, twisted into something trivial that needed to be solved by professionals, implying that local voices didn't matter anymore. The insinuation lay heavy, filling her with an urge to scream, but then she noticed something that made her breath catch. He had referenced her unflattering comments about her role as the organizer of the festival zapped through the screen. Felt like a betrayal. She poured her heart and soul into this project, and all he cared about was tearing it down to build his own empire of expertise. Unbelievable. Her anger surged, but then a thought sparked. What if there's another way to turn this around? She couldn't sink into despair. She had to rise up. Sarah's fingers began typing furiously, thoughts racing faster than she could form them. She would rally her community not just to counter Carl's negativity, but to affirm their common vision, to reclaim their narrative. After drafting her rebuttal, she took a moment to breathe. Their community meant everything to her. She thought about the smiles of the children during last year's festival, the feel of laughter and camaraderie that wrapped around the park like a warm blanket. She realized she wasn't just fighting for the festival. She was defending a shared identity, one woven through contractors and school teachers, faces from every walk of life united by the love for their town. In a few clicks, she shared a glimpse of her response on social media, inviting those who felt outraged by Carl's words to respond too. Let us take back the narrative, she urged. Together as one community. Immediate reactions poured in. Comments flooded in with memories, pride, and a resolve to stand together. People shared stories of how the festival had changed their lives, brought families together, and ignited local businesses. She could feel a powerful wave of support rising beneath her, a collective heartbeat echoing the rhythm of unity. Before long, Tim and Mary chimed in, expressing encouragement. Excitement buzzed around them as they discussed the next steps for the event. But through it all, uncertainty was still there, like a shadow lurking at the edges. What if it's not enough? She wondered, thinking about Carl's deceitful reach. The threat of doubt hung heavy, yet the flicker of collective strength encouraged her. The next day, as the planning ramped up, she set out to gather even more voices. Sarah walked through town, eyes wide open to the beauty around her, the murals on the walls, the laughter in the streets, and the conversations between neighbors. Each encounter fueled her drive, weaving a fabric of hope into her determination. Finally, standing in the middle of the park where the rally would take place, Sarah felt a sense of calm wash over her. But then her phone buzzed again. Another message from Carl. As panic resumed its grip, she exhaled deeply. What now? She asked herself. Could he twist the narrative again? Uncertainty loomed, but determination pushed it aside. Would their community stand strong against the encroaching negativity, or would Carl's words still deliver a fatal blow? The clock was ticking and Sarah's heart raced once more, ready to face what lay ahead. The day of the rally arrived, and despite the looming doubts, a fierce sense of purpose filled the air. Sarah stood before the crowd gathered at the park, the warm sun illuminating a vibrant tapestry of faces: families, children, local business owners, the very community she had fought so hard for. Her heart raced. Today was the moment they had all been waiting for. With the gentle breeze at her back, Sarah held the microphone tightly, her palms clammy but her resolve unshakable. Thank you all for being here. She began, her voice steady. Today we rise together as one community, united by our shared focus on growth, hope, and a sustainable future for all of us. Cheers erupted, a wave of energy washing over her. As she looked out at those gathered, she felt an overwhelming swell of gratitude. When I first shared the vision for our recycling program, I had no idea where it would go. But I knew we had to try. Our home deserves better. And we are the ones who can make that happen. The crowd roared in approval, enthusiasm sparking around her like wildfire. Sarah felt that flicker of doubt begin to fade as she basked in the shared goals and warmth of her neighbors. This isn't just about recycling. It's about jobs, education, and coming together to reclaim the narrative for our community. Tim stepped forward, his voice resonating with passion as he shared stories of local families who had already committed to participate in their initiative. Mary spoke next, detailing the transformations this project could ignite: how local schools could integrate sustainability into their curriculum, how entrepreneurs could harness waste to create new business opportunities right here. As each speaker shared heartfelt stories and impassioned pleas, Sarah's hope surged. It was contagious. The crowd was electrified. They stood shoulder to shoulder, a united front. But just as they were riding high on the wave of togetherness, Sarah caught sight of a figure lurking at the edge: Carl, his arms crossed, surveying the event with a skeptical frown. But instead of fear, Sarah felt invigorated. Yes, we know there will be challenges, she called out, her gaze unwavering as she pointed decisively towards Carl. But these challenges don't define us. It's how we respond to them, how we come together and lift each other up, that will shape our future. A collective cheer arose, echoing across the park. Carl looked taken aback, his expression shifting as the crowd seemed to surge around him. This was more than just a rally. It was a banner of resilience raised high for all to see. As the day unfolded, Sarah saw people engaging with booths that showcased recycling techniques, vendors who offered eco-friendly products, and families competing in a joyful waste sorting contest. They were creating memories, forging bonds, and proving that they were capable of more than anyone had believed. At that moment, a spark of realization burst within her. This wasn't just about fighting back against Carl's negativity, it was about rewriting the story of their community. As the crowd began to disperse, Sarah approached Tim and Mary, her heart full. "We did it," she whispered, her voice trembling with excitement. "Yes, we did." Tim beamed, pride lighting his face. "And we have so much more to do. Now we've got the community's heart behind us." As they stood laughing and discussing next steps, Sarah caught a glimpse of Carl retreating, annoyance etched across his face. She didn't dwell on him for long. This time she wouldn't shrink away. Instead, she turned to her friends and said, "Let us keep this momentum going. If we can harness today's energy, there's no stopping us." In the glow of their triumph, heart soaring high, Sarah knew that together, they were crafting a legacy, a tale of strength and resolve, a lasting bond forged in love for their community. She felt a radiant smile blossom on her face as she realized this fight for hope had made them all stronger together. As they lifted their spirits and headed home, the sun set in the distance, painting the sky in warm hues of orange and violet, just like the sunrise on their dreams that felt more tangible than ever. Now, dear friends, this is it. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep us going strong. Leave your thoughts in the comments about this amazing transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see what can happen when a community comes together. Let us keep this fire burning.